what did y'all think like when you saw the shit about Chadwick Boseman though? Like, what was your first thought? Kadena, I heard yours. You said you had to check to see if it's true.
I mean, I thought it was not real at first because I just saw it just get posted, and I was like, it seems like fake news. And then all you had to do was Google it. Good bummer.
I do it always at Twitter.
The more I had to hop on my burner account just to verify. I mean, now that I think about it, you could kind of tell that he was sick just based on what he looked like. I just didn't put 2 and 2 together. I didn't know he was that sick though. I mean, good for him for keeping it like that. Obviously, there's some people who want to be public about stuff, and some people that don't. And I'm glad that like TMZ or some shit didn't fucking, leak a story about how sick he is. So I'm glad. I mean, I'm very upset that he's dead, but I'm happy that he kind of got to go out his way with keeping it public, keeping it private within his family. About one person slips up and fucking says something, and then TMZ's at his house, 24 hours a day, and makes the last couple of years of his life miserable. So.
I saw him in the wheelchair, like getting rolled. Rolled into the hospital, and then like I saw him walking with the cane and stuff, and I'm like
his clothes is all baggy and
yeah.
But there were two things after the initial like shock of whether or not it was real. There were two things that struck me. One was a little lighter-hearted than the other. The lighthearted one was, goddamn, that motherfucker was 43. I couldn't believe he was that old. And I remember Mauricio texted, but they're like, "Oh, he was 43? Like, what the fuck?" But then it was the other part to me, which was what I've been looking at. I'm not a huge fan of looking at certain years as being bad years. I think it's kind of horseshit. But 2020 has been a particularly bad year. And what I was looking at as far as just what's been happening recently is just as far as the African-American community. I can't think of a bigger loss as far as somebody who's been an icon to us than him. And the reason I say that is that if you're looking at different generations, I've never seen a black man portray so many important black figures over history in movies, and as far as bringing that knowledge there to people. James Brown, Jackie Robinson, Thurgood Marshall. Like that alone is enough to you say, well, holy shit, like he brought that to the forefront. And his way of acting on that level, he had this subtleness as far as being heroic without going over the top, which is like sometimes you get a lot of these actors, they have to do so much to make you feel as though they're heroic figures. He had these really, really subtle ways of getting there that were just from an acting standpoint, because I'm a cinemaphile, was just amazing. But even if you look beyond those like historical figures, how fucking important was Black Panther to black youth?
The first black superhero.
Mm-hmm.
Well, no, take that, man. You can't get past Meteor Man, Steel.
Okay. First main, Steel, like super mainstream.
Fucking what's Wesley Snipes? The
Blade?
vampire Blade and Spawn. So for the record, not the first black superhero. But
how many kids were dressing up as Blade?
Well, I think a lot of kids were dressing up as Blade. It was just
dude. It was the first the Blu-ray trilogy that I bought. I got Blade trilogy, and then I got I got something else. But Blade, I still have them. Fucking one of my favorite. It's god awful movies, but just
motherfuckers need to stop sleeping on Meteor Man though. I need to stop sleeping on fucking Meteor Man. I don't want to hear that shit.
That's my point. Black Panther.
Stop sleeping on Meteor Man.
I went to Black Panther in Compton with my black roommates, and they put me in a dashiki, and we ate fucking cookout outside a goddamn movie theater. That's why Black Panther is important.
Dude, going into that line,
fucking party.
That line opening night, we saw black fathers with their sons and daughters, like in dashikis and everything else, and how proud you felt was awesome. Was huge. And now I think ABC tonight or tomorrow is showing it commercial free.
I think it's tonight at 8. Yeah.
That to me and now the way that I look at Black Panther, and I started watching it yesterday, and I had to turn it off because something came up. I'm now looking at the movie Black Panther. If you look it through the guise of it being, same thing with The Five Bloods, is almost a tribute to Chadwick. It changes the entire dynamic of the movie. Yeah. And it's make it deeper to me.
aren't they doing? They're doing a like a in memoriam to Chadwick right after it, I think.
Yeah.
Like they're just, I mean, I knew it. Like it just didn't click. Like I've seen all of his movies, but I just watched them because I love Jackie Robinson. Like it just, I watched him for the content. It never really clicked that it was always him playing these characters.
It was a running joke for a while. It was like all the important like historical Black figures he was playing.
Yeah, Thurgood.
It was like he was gonna get a crack at Ali. He was probably gonna get a crack at Ray again. He was gonna get a crack at all his. He was just gonna churn them all out. It was just like what it was.
Yeah, Ray too.
I think
Electric Boogaloo.
Right?
Huh?
I think he said he was diagnosed in 2016. And
yeah, so he was doing filming in between chemos.
Yeah,
yeah.
like,
and he never lost his hair.
Yeah.
Black don't crack, nor
Black,
does it.
Black, he didn't crack until like the very end.
Yep.
He was still jacked.
I think that this, as far as the in memoriam for Chadwick Boseman, makes a great cold open instead of the actual episode itself. If you want to count us down right now, I'll do a little thing. It's like an in memorial for him, and then we'll start.
3, 2, 1.
Welcome to the show.
All right.
Okay.
So,
Welcome back, ASOS podcast. What's
ASOS
up, homies?
Sports.
Homie, what's good?
17?
17.
Yeah. Got one. Okay.
Jason Campbell's number. No one cares.
I mean, you know, I never had anything against Jason Campbell. He was very average.
Well, I think the number we should say is it's Terry McLaurin's number now, but Jason Campbell.
Scary
Terry. Oh God. Shit.
Did more than Terry so far.
What?
Jason Campbell did more for the Skins than Terry has so far.
Fair, but I can
Not fair.
I can put money on that Scary T will have done a lot more.
Well, I'm not saying he has. I'm not saying he won't. But you're gonna tell me that Terry in 1 year did more than Jason Campbell did his whole entire time with the Skins? That's crazy.
What do you mean by do more? Like played more games, sacrificed more, or like did more for the winning of a franchise?
He did more for the franchise.
I think he set us back.
You don't believe that?
I kind of do. I don't blame Jason. I think Jason was a stand-up guy. I think he did make more. I think he meant more to the Raiders than he did us, though.
Did they convert him to a tight end at some point?
Who? Us?
No, Jason Campbell. Didn't he get converted to like?
No.
No, Jason Campbell was part of the long legacy of the Washington football team destroying their fucking quarterbacks as far as like not giving an offensive line.
Wasn't he the beginning of that, really?
No, Patrick. No, the beginning of that was the quarterback carousel with Steve Spurrier and Danny Warfel and Shane Matthews and Sage Rosenfels in the quarterback carousel. We're gonna have you play 3 snaps in the first quarter, and we're gonna have you take it after halftime.
I remember that.
All right.
Okay, continuing on.
Moving on. So, we were talking about Chadwick earlier. Yesterday, 2 days ago, was Jackie Robinson Day for this year. Usually it's on the 15th of April.
It's usually in April, yeah.
April 15th, but this time they did it on the 28th of August. Did you guys like look at all the different like protests and things that players did?
Yeah, it was awesome. There's the Mets. Dom Smith, who's on the Mets, got understandably very emotional. And so the Mets and the Marlins agreed the next day that they weren't going to play and put Black Lives Matter shirt on home plate and waved to each other and exited the field. And then we saw, obviously, the NBA canceled. The Bucks refused to come out of the locker room.
Yeah, we're gonna get to it later though. But I have a question in regards to the Mets GM, right? What was that shit between him and Manfred? Like
okay, so Van Wagenen, who is the general manager of the Mets, was caught on a hot mic talking to, I think, a staffer and then maybe one of the players. And I guess the story was that originally that Manfred wanted the Mets to come out, walk off the field, and then come back and play at 8:10 as opposed to 7:10. And Van Wagenen basically got caught on the hot mic saying that guy just doesn't get it. He just doesn't understand. Turns out he was not talking about Manfred. He was talking about fucking Wilpon, who I hate, who will no longer be the owner in the next couple days. Thank God. But he was talking about Wilpon. But obviously, if a story hits and it's, of the moment, TMZ's going to fucking put out whatever the fuck they think it is.
If it's negative in the sense of baseball, there's usually one guy who comes to the forefront of your mind.
And in this instance, it wasn't Manfred. I don't know what his role so far has been in terms of how he has been supportive. I know many of the owners have been supportive. I know the coaches, almost 100% of them have been supportive, especially all the minority coaches. But yeah, no, fuck you, Wilpon. I'm so glad. We are going to have a Mets fan as the Mets owner.
So I want to talk about.
Let's go.
So apparently A-Rod and J-Lo are out.
Right. I saw that statement.
And apparently it's going to be Cohen.
Yep, Cohen. He will be, I think, far and away our richest owner. Net worth of, I think, around $14 billion, which will allow us to compete, in the Subway Series, hopefully. He's also a lifelong Mets fan.
They're the Mets.
Yeah, but we're not going to have – see, I've always hated owners who either want to have too much control or are only owning him for monetary – like to make themselves wealthier. I think when
Snyder.
I think when you get somebody in who is a fan, not only of the sport, but actually of the club, you're going to have – it's going to be far and away the best thing for the team, even if we struggle. Because we got a lot of good pieces. We got a two-time Cy Young Award-winning pitcher who just doesn't have any help because we won't spend the money. We get rid of the key pieces. Like, it's just real frustrating. But I'm really happy. Obviously, Cohen said that he's got his own group and he's going to outbid the A-Rod J-Lo group. But honestly, do I want a fucking former Yankee owning the Mets? Like, not really. So it's good. It's good for the team. I'm excited about it.
All right. So speaking of terrible owners, Kadeen, you said it. Apparently, there's been some Dan Snyder allegations that has come to light.
Oh, is that this? That's this week? Man,
this week had a lot of stuff happen. So, as we've discussed numerous times at length, as far as the Washington football team, which I just bought Madden 21. Don't do it. I just wanted to see what the Washington football team looked like on Madden. That's the only reason I dropped $60 on the goddamn game, to be completely honest. Which their uniforms are actually kind of cool in the Washington football team logo, but whatever. All right, back to Dan Snyder. So we've talked about all the there was a Washington Post article that came back last month, I think it was mid-July, about all of the allegations of especially former female staffers within the organization and how they felt as far as the sexual harassment and just the culture and how bad it was. Now, the build up to that article was huge because everybody started having all these rumors about how Dan Snyder was going to be involved or wrapped up in it. And at the end of the day, when that article ended, the only thing you could really say Dan Snyder was guilty of was not doing enough to change the culture or not being plugged in enough to see what was happening in the culture. Negligence, right? As far as just as far as how the team operated. Now, Washington Post releases another article. Thank God, with not as much fanfare, because everybody that got the article wrong last time is now getting sued by Dan Snyder. But article comes out that there are a bunch more staffers that do come out and say, "Hey, Dan Snyder was involved at least in a few things directly." The number one thing that's probably getting the most run is the video, the cheerleading video, which is something I've mentioned to you guys as far as hearing some stuff behind the scenes as far as what was actually happening.
You mean the good bits?
The good bits, or what they called the DVD for executives only. So Larry Michael, who was the voice of the team formerly known as Redskins, fucking hate that prick. Apparently, he was somebody allegedly that requested when they were doing they were shooting a video.
A swimsuit issue.
They were doing a calendar and they had a video which I've watched because it played on like Comcast Sportsnet about like how it is that they're making the cheerleading thing. Now, as you know, if they got the cameras continuously rolling and you got cheerleaders on a beach and they've got to change clothes or what have you, usually hold up something, you try to do it. They had the cameras rolling, and not only were they rolling, they were zooming in on their crotches, they were zooming in on the nipples, things like that, completely just outside the realm of anything that was going to be used for the DVD.
That's all just disgusting.
Just disgusting, terrible voyeurism, not only just voyeurism, but like you have these women kind of know what's happening and kind of, I mean, if you look at all the articles that happened, they had their passports taken from them when they went down there, you feel kind of trapped. And then if you look at also the culture of the organization with all the articles we have read, it's not like they could really go and complain to anybody anyway. But somebody takes the footage and they actually hire somebody to edit and cut the footage. The guy who said that he was part of the editing process is actually in the article about how terrible he felt about doing it. But this was something that he said that guys like Larry Michael was going to give to Dan Snyder because Dan Snyder wanted it. So that is a direct tie to Dan Snyder. Now, Dan Snyder released a statement saying that he had nothing to do with it. He's never seen the movie. That the Washington Post won't let him see a copy of it, even though the Washington Post has verified independently that it is a legitimate video, that it wasn't something that was doctored after the fact. They can see the timestamps, the dates, and everything. It all checks out. Now, even on top of that, you had another, I think it was a cheerleader for the Washington football team, who was at an event. And Dan Snyder's longtime childhood friend, who's an orthodontist in Northern Virginia, Tony something or another. Apparently, this orthodontist had done work on one of the cheerleaders at one point. And Dan sees her at this function, comes and talks to him, like, hey, I really think you should get to know Tony more. He has a hotel room upstairs. Now, she was waiting for there to be like a pause or a joke or somebody to laugh, and there was no laughter. It's like Dan Snyder was absolutely soliciting her to go and do things with this guy upstairs, which is not anything you ever want from an owner. As far as or just anybody, right? But especially an owner in the sense of what it is they can do. Like if it's somebody that just mentions that, all right, you may be able to tell somebody to go fuck off, but not when it's your boss who's in charge of your livelihood and you feel as though if you were to do anything, the ramifications of that might actually hinder anything you can possibly do. So those are two direct ties, not longer just a negligence thing, but direct ties to Dan Snyder and what it is he was doing as far as his take and his part with the sexual misconduct.
I have no idea how he's still.
Well, for the first time ever, you had Roger Goodell and the NFL actually release a statement saying that they are going to be investigating. Now, Mike Florio from Pro Football Talk had an article that really went through that process of it and said, look, nowhere, if you really look through some of the jargon that they're using, what it looks like they're going to do is just talk to the lawyers that Dan Snyder has already hired to do the investigative work for the Washington football team. And if you know lawyers, if you hire them, they're yours. They're yours to be used for you. So at the end of the day, I can't see a scenario in which the people that Dan Snyder hired are going to then go and run to someone else and tell them, hey, you should really strip this guy of his ownership. But there is a buzz harder than it ever has been that there's actually a movement right now to at least suspend Dan Snyder from NFL operations. But I think the movement to actually get him stripped, there's going to have to be more things that come out. And from what I understand, there are one of the people that wrote the article said there are like 16 or 17 additional people that have not been interviewed yet that after seeing those articles really, really, really want to talk.
Yeah, it's weird though. Like, how much, what does it take?
Yeah, where's the threshold?
Where's the line? And
Yeah.
then, you look at, all the shit that he said, it's just nuts.
The thing is that to me, it's a moving goalpost, right? It just depends on where society is at large. Right now, you have a society where you have a president that says you can grab women by the pussy, and he is the leader of the free world. So when you have certain things like that happening, you also got to know who's in those rooms as far as the NFL owners. The NFL owners have a lot more in common with the guy in the White House than they do as far as any woke people that would want to change as far as the culture goes. There are a few owners that do always step on the right side of things. You look at the Pittsburgh Steelers and the way their organization is ran as far as that family. You look at the Rooneys or the Maras and the Maras and the Rooneys as far as the Rooneys in Pittsburgh, the Maras in New York, as far as those families being ones that have always really championed certain rights and certain good things. You even look at the Davises in Las Vegas now. They are not usually ones that stand for bullshit. And that's the kindest thing you're ever going to hear me say about your franchise, James. So it's just a matter of in order to oust an owner, it at least has to be bad enough in which you can't. So you look at like the Jerry Richardson from Carolina, where it's like it has to be so bad that there's no way that you can get around it. But as long as they have that scapegoat where he's not caught on tape doing anything, which is what is important to a lot of people, as in if you look at even when it comes to the players, Ray Rice in that situation, which still carries a black eye as far as the NFL goes, they need something overt that gets people riled up.
There's breaking
really
news.
Doesn't.
There's breaking news. So Del Loy Hansen, the owner of the Real Salt Lake and Utah Royals from the MLS and the Women's League in soccer, he is going to sell like the team because he made racist comments. Like all this stuff just came out.
I mean, maybe that is that the threshold now.
That's the but here's the thing: is that if you were to look in that article and see as far as the racist comments, right? It's either going to be something that you had a lot of witnesses that absolutely heard him say it, or it's going to be something that was either caught on audio or caught in video.
It was witnesses heard him say it.
That's the thing. So when it comes to like a Dan Snyder and what it's going to take to oust him from the team, it's going to be something big. It's the same reason why, if you look, I keep bringing up the president. There's a reason why you have the producers of The Apprentice. They know that there are videos that exist of Donald Trump saying the N-word and doing some bad shit. They don't want them released because they know if that released, that will be the thing. That will be the thing that gets enough people riled up. It usually has to be something, especially when you talk about those guys that are at that level, where it's not about cancel culture. It's about whether or not your buddies next to you are going to get any dirt on them, which is what makes it change. It's different when you're just a celebrity. If you're a Louis C.K. who relies on people buying tickets, you can shame people into thinking, hey, we should cancel this guy. We're not going to watch his movie. We're not going to watch his thing. And you're going to have people on social media that can easily take up that stand. But what are you going to do as far as the Washington football team, especially right now? There aren't going to be any fans in the stadium. What are you going to do, boycott the games so you're not going to watch them? They already got their ad revenue. What are you going to do that actually impacts them? You've got to see something that really puts a black eye on the rest of the league and start seeing where their dollars and cents are going to get matched and where it is that their line's going to be before anybody actually makes any change.
Well, that's happening because if you look at like how people are viewing the situation in Washington, and now people are looking at the league like, hey, what are you guys doing? Like, you see all this stuff going on. You see how they're treating their employees. Like, this is supposed to be a part of the league, the shield.
There's one thing that I think actually works. Now, I will give, before I do this, and this is going to be a segue into a different topic. I'm sorry if I'm stepping on your toes, but I think it works. As far as I will give credit for this. The people that Dan has hired in the Washington football team recently have not sugarcoated anything, and they've been free to speak their mind on exactly what's happening. Listening to the new guy, Jason Wright, as far as our team president, young black man that we talked about last week, he released a statement on it. He's not shying away from it. Julie Donaldson, who's the team's leader as far as media, she's speaking about it. Like, these people are not afraid to just not talk about it anymore. They're going to address it. They're going to say, hey, look, this is a culture that is not going to be accepted. If we find out anything like this is happening, come after us, because we are the ones that are going to champion and make sure that something changes. But when you're talking about what actually can change or what affects these guys' dollars, I think you need to look no further than what the NBA and the players did this week as far as stepping out and refusing to play. What the Milwaukee Bucks did, that is an impact. That is flexing the power that you have to make sure that you're eliciting some sort of change. And I don't know if you want to break down exactly what happened as far as Milwaukee in the NBA, but I just thought as far as actually changing things, I think the players need to understand the power that they have.
Well, so there was a shooting in Wisconsin. I can't pronounce the
Kenosha.
And then the gentleman's name was Jacob Blake. He was walking back to his car, opened the door, got shot 7 times in the back. He's paralyzed from the waist down, apparently. He survived, thank goodness.
Yeah.
But he's still handcuffed to a hospital bed.
Yep.
I heard his attorney came out and said that he was no longer handcuffed.
Oh, they let him out? But, well, for days after being shot and paralyzed, he was still handcuffed to a hospital bed.
Yeah. So the Buccaneers, who play in Wisconsin.
The Bucks.
Oh, yeah. Wow. Jesus. The Bucks.
The Buccaneers play in Tampa Bay.
Tom Brady has a lot of power. They can play wherever they want to.
Now my friend John's going to watch this and be like, oh, look, Jimmy, you keep talking about the Bucks. Yeah, whatever.
I agree. You're obsessed.
No, stop it. So the Bucks had a game against the Magic. I think it was game 4 or 5.
It was the closeout game.
5.
Yeah,
It was a closeout game. So I guess the Bucks won 4. Yeah, because they lost the first one.
It was 3-1.
And then George Hill apparently, like, before the game in the locker room was like, "Hey, I don't think we should play." And then the Bucks team was behind him, and they just boycotted the game. And then the Magic decided not to accept the forfeit, so they left too. So then that caused a whole ripple effect where all the games for the next like 2 days just nobody played.
Well, the NBA postponed them.
No, that's bullshit. The same thing that MLS said. The players decided not to play. Then the MLS came out and said a statement like, "Yeah, like we decided to postpone," like in the little tweet. And then one of the players who organized the shit, like quote tweeted it and said, "No, we decided we're not playing. Don't try to change the narrative. You didn't postpone shit. We said we're not playing."
I think it's one of those situations where, like, which I'm used to, where you get pulled into the office to get fired and you quit. Yeah. It was one of those things where it was like the NBA knew what was happening, and in order to before they could let the other teams have their say, they knew where the wind was blowing and just said, "Hey, fuck it, we're gonna postpone everything."
You can't fire me. I quit.
Right.
But then, like, let's go into the meeting that like brought the NBA back.
Wait, didn't LeBron also say he wasn't gonna play, and then they shut everything down?
There's a lot of conflicting info on what happened in the meeting.
Yeah, like did you see the report from Chris?
I posted the Yahoo article, which was the first one that broke exactly what it is they said happened in the meeting. But there were a lot of players afterwards that said, "No, that's not what happened." It made Patrick Beverley look like an asshole.
I only listen to Waj. Any other news is fake news.
That's actually a good philosophy on basketball.
He's the only if I'm LeBron James, I'm only texting Woj.
Woj.
And Woj, whatever. Woj an asshole.
Follow the man and you don't even know how to say his nickname.
Man, nobody knows how to say his full name.
In that article, I didn't like how they did it. Like where they just had that one quote from Beverly saying like, "Yeah, and like I pay your salary, so you gotta listen to us."
I sadly forget the woman's name, but it's she's
Gail Roberts.
Yeah, she's the what's her exact title? But she's higher up as far as whether it be the NBA, the NMLP, the NBA PA or whatever. She's one that really fights on the players, or she was breaking down to the players what the financial ramifications would be. If you say what the article is saying is correct, was breaking down what the financial ramification would be in long term as far as what the CBA and other issues could be if the players decided not to play. And apparently in the article, allegedly, according to the article, Patrick Beverley told her, "Hey, I pay your salary, so I don't want to basically hear from you." And it caused a stir from Chris Paul and Andre Iguodala, who are the 1 and 2 as far as the players go in the players union. But there's word coming out that said Patrick Beverley never said anything like that. There's also the talk as far as when shit started happening, you had LeBron basically say, "Hey, look, I ain't fucking playing," and he gets up and walks out. And the Clippers follow suit, and they're like, we're not playing any more games. Then there was the talk as far as what was happening behind the scenes. A lot of what it looks like happened in that article didn't actually happen, at least when you're looking at what has come out of it, right?
Yeah, like there was a quote from Danny Green, right, who plays for the Lakers, and he said something that kind of corroborated like what I was thinking in terms of like some of the stuff that I've heard. That LeBron was pissed off at the Bucks for doing it because they didn't have a plan. They didn't talk to anybody. They just did the shit. Like, and Danny Green said, like, I'm sure he's talked to LeBron, right? And he was like, "Well, if we say we're not playing, right, because of this, what the fuck is going to make us play again? Like, what's going to happen to make us play again?"
Right.
And it's like nobody thought of that. So it's like, I hear you, George Hill. Like, I'm with you. At the same time, let's have something like together. Like, if we're not going to play, let's just not play.
Well, it was the same argument that
– go home.
It's the same argument before the bubble.
Yeah, Kyrie. And yeah, so –
but that was the thing. It was like even when we had talked about this as far as what they should do, I know that I was – firm in my standing that I don't think they should play. COVID was one reason, but I also thought as far as the protests go. And the reason it was is that regardless of whatever it is that was coming out, it never sounded like all the players were on the same page. And you even see when it came to the NBA, we were even at a point where you're blaming the higher-ups in the NBA when it looked like right before the bubble started, the shit was going to fall apart again, is that, all right, what are we going to do? What are we asking for? What do we want if we're not going to play? If you're going to hold the owner's feet to the fire, if you're going to hold the league's feet to the fire, you got to have something that you want. And if you don't have anything you want, you're just doing it for the sake of doing it. Now, sometimes that can work. Maybe you just want time to go spend with your family, go protest. That's cool, but it's not using your platform to the best of its abilities. Right. You either don't show up, and in that realm, you're using your platform to bring awareness to certain things or bringing, hey, I need X, Y, and Z to happen. But we never really got that. All we got was that, all right, the players can put things on the back of their jerseys. They're going to be Black Lives Matters on the court. They're going to sing the Negro spiritual anthem in front of the games along with the Star Spangled Banner. Okay.
Take a knee, and they'll
all right, great. We solved racism. Like, what the fuck? Like, it's not – but I will say that for the first time – regardless of how it is we got there, I will give props to Giannis. I will give props to George Hill. I'm giving mad props to Milwaukee Bucks as far as showing people for the first time that you have the power to not show up. I think that somebody had to do it. And the fact that they did it, it changed the entire landscape of sports. Baseball canceled games. You had all these different leagues basically said, we can't play because now we even look bad if we do. That's why NHL caught so much shit, was that it took them so long to get anything figured out as far as what the fuck they were going to do.
Yeah, they put up a stupid-ass announcement, like the announcer's like saying something, and I'm like, what is that?
But look at what they got. So in order for them to come back to the bubble, you now have all, and this is something that I even brought up before the protests happened. I put this as one of the things that I thought that they should demand. Every NBA arena is going to be a voting center in November. That is big. But that's something that should have been demanded before they even set foot in the fucking bubble.
Well, I think, and I just reading through the timeline of what happened, I think the Milwaukee Bucks not playing was the catalyst. And then I think when the players, I believe it was the Lakers and Clippers, voted to boycott the rest of the season and just shut it down and go home, I think that gave them the opportunity to then have a meeting, discuss amongst themselves and amongst the NBA Players Association what they actually wanted. I know they spoke, LeBron and a number of other players spoke with President Obama. Yeah. And after this meeting and after speaking with the president, former president, they came to the conclusion that these are the things we want. And we also think that continuing to play, if these things are met, is our best platform. And after that, they finally had some sort of constructive plan, which they could now go forward and implement. And if you watch what LeBron said, I think it was yesterday, when they were asking him about what the owners had said to him, said, well, they gave me their word. And so for right now, I'm going to hold them to their word. And if they don't, well, we'll deal with it then. And then he gave one of those wry smiles. I mean, as LeBron goes, so does the NBA. And that's just how it is right now. So if LeBron is 100% on board, and obviously Chris Paul, who's the number one for the NBA Players Union, if they're both on board, I know LeBron can hold the entire NBA hostage if he so chose. And there's a number of other players that are the same caliber. But
here's a question.
Space. And I think this is just, obviously it's a diving board. It's just a start. But it's a pretty good start. And I think that what should have happened 2 months ago happened now. But I'm glad to see that they are using their platform, which is not just playing. It is also being a member of the NBA and having the power to say, no, not going to do it. And then you saw the ripple effect, MLB, NHL, it's a heavily white league. I get it. But you have some of your biggest stars, your Doombas come out saying, what the fuck are you guys doing? And then the NHL finally realized, hey, we need to be on the right side of this. So good for them.
Yeah. So it's a little bit off topic, kind of, but kind of on topic too. I had this argument or debate earlier this week. We were talking about like how you said where LeBron goes, the league goes, right? Would you say the same for Chris Paul?
Yeah, and the only
being
reason,
the president of the
he's
union.
the president of the Players Association. So
who would you see is more important to the league, like in terms of the future, Chris
LeBron.
Paul or Giannis?
Or Giannis?
Yeah,
Giannis. What he just did, and yeah. I was watching on, it was either today or yesterday. All my days are fucking blended together. He had talked to so Kenosha, Wisconsin is about an hour away from where the Bucks play.
Yeah.
So he had talked to Mr. Blake, the father of Jake. And after that, I think it was
Chris Paul did too.
Yeah. I mean, you have to be in, they're obviously in the bubble, but you also have to have your feet on the ground and your ears to the ground. And I think Giannis going out of his way to talk to his father, he finally is like, we can't play. Like, we can't play until something is done. So, and like I said, I think there are a lot of stars that have the same leverage, but in terms of what's going to, as a person watching the NBA, who has more of an effect on me outside of the fact that, I watch every game, all sports. If I didn't, and I was just on the outside and LeBron said something versus if Chris Paul said something, LeBron's going to have obviously the bigger impact. Yeah. But in terms of the players who have all the power, I'd say LeBron and Chris Paul are probably on even keel because Chris Paul's the head of the players.
Yeah. I would say I understand that logic, and I think right now in the status quo, it's probably true. I do think it's a fallacy that we all fall into, though. And the reason I say that is that there is something to said about unity. There is something to be said about having everybody on the same page. I think everybody has a role to play, but the most powerful aspect of it is for everybody to be on the same page. If LeBron said, hey, I'm not playing, look, it might hurt to a certain degree, but as polarizing a figure as LeBron James is right now, the NBA would continue. It might be lower than what it is, but it would still continue. And it's a lot of what it is they said in that article was between what the Patrick Beverley deal was and what the woman was that you have a lot of these players out here that do not have the money that a LeBron has or the money that a Chris Paul has, that if they were to take that shot and saying that I'm not going to play, they don't have the same luxuries that you have other players do. It reminds me of James, thank you for making sure that I listened to the Joe Budden podcast this week. As far as what it is they're doing, as far as if you don't know, I'm not getting into details, but Joe Budden's leaving Spotify, and he went through a list of reasons why he was doing so. And in that, he also brought up the example of Dennis Rodman. And Dennis Rodman, everybody talks about how fucked over he got on that contract after watching The Last Dance, right? Scottie Pippen. Sorry, Dennis Rodman. Scottie Pippen. What you end up having is you have a situation where you don't know what that man or what these men are going through. If you got a guy like Scottie Pippen who has how many siblings, a mother that he needs to take care of, that you have all these things that all gravitate towards what it is that you're doing. I can't blame you for wanting or needing to play to make money. But this is where leadership really comes in. This is where you have the LeBrons, the guys that have made this X amount of dollars, stepping in and doing what it is they can to take care of their own, if we're all going to be on the same page. What I need the lesson to be out of this entire thing is that if we are on the same page, we can affect change. We do not know the power that we wield because everybody's so splintered. It's the same thing I look at the Joe Budden podcast. If you had Rory or Mal not on the same page as trusting Joe, this whole thing wouldn't work as far as what it is they're trying to do. When you had Kyrie talking about, like, if they don't want to do for us, we now have the capital to create our own. And it's true, but we don't believe it. We do not believe it. And I look at that from the top all the way down. If every worker in an Amazon warehouse said, fuck this, we ain't showing up to work tomorrow, unless they're going to give us what we need, the company crumbles. They can't do anything. Now, you might have a Jeff Bezos to be like, look, I got $200 billion. I don't give a fuck. I don't care if the company crumbles because I got mine already. then let's get behind somebody who can run a company that will take care of us, that will stand for us, that will do the things that we need them to do. We have power already, but they do such a good job of making us think that we don't, or that we have to follow this guy or follow that guy or wait for this guy, that we don't do that shit. And we need everybody to step up. I am my brother's keeper. If you got $200 million and I got pennies and we need to fight for the same cause, help me get to that level. That's what I need from the leadership. That's what I need everybody to get on the same fucking page. And what was bothering me from beginning of the bubble, before the bubble, to when we start seeing these games start happening, I understand what the players are saying. Yo, we out here dribbling this goddamn basketball. Everybody on the news talking about how great a job Luka did. We ain't fucking talking about the shit that matters anymore. The arrest the cops that shot Breonna Taylor ends up being a fucking meme now. It's just something you throw in the end of shit. We're not doing shit the way that we need to do shit. When you got the Milwaukee Bucks saying, look, if they said we ain't fucking playing another game unless we hear from the attorney general, unless we hear from the district attorney in that area and know what the fuck is going on, until we know these cops are arrested, we ain't doing shit. We should be able to have their back so we are getting this shit done together. Because the higher-ups, those fucking masters don't give a fuck about us. So we got to figure out how we need to do to flex our shit to get shit done. And I'm sick and tired of fucking waiting. I'm sick and tired of them fucking splintering us off so that we feel as though we're powerless. We're not. We have power. They don't exist without us. And we need to figure that shit out.
That reminds me of, you remember Mario Balotelli when he said that the player, like, I remember, I don't know if y'all laughed at me on this one.
I did. I laughed at you because of exactly what I'm saying. I'm guilty of it sometimes too, of not seeing it. That, like, if you got a guy like Balotelli, what's his name?
Mario Balotelli.
They have the money.
But that's the thing, is that everybody right now is looking for that quick fix to get theirs. I'm gonna take care of me and mine.
Yeah, but look, this is what he's saying. If, like, ever since, like, when you play football, right? You're as a kid, like you start playing as a kid. So these little boys, like little kids, are hearing all this racist shit ever since they're babies. After a while, you're gonna get tired of it. And Mario Balotelli's been tired of it. He plays in fucking Italy.
They throw bananas at him.
Yeah, they make monkey chants, all the shit every game. Like, some of them are even his own, like, fans. And he's like, no, fuck this. A lot of the stars in football, soccer, are black. Like, we can go to fucking Africa, build stadiums with our own money, and just play there.
And the thing is, it doesn't even, and if you're not black and you want to be a part of something that actually helps, then you join in. But what we can't do is continue to feed the motherfuckers that don't give a shit about us.
Yeah.
We can't keep doing that shit.
It's Black Lives Matter, which doesn't exclude other people who also agree that Black Lives Matter. That is a very important distinction that I think goes over a lot of people's heads.
But that's just what they just, in Delaware, didn't they just burn down the Jewish center at one of the universities? I was posting shit about that stuff. Nobody wants to talk about that shit, but I look at those as my brothers, man. Those are my brothers and my sisters. They're the same ones that try to fight for my shit, that I need to fight for them too.
When they do that?
A couple days ago.
Yeah.
That shit don't, and that's the thing, is that when I talk to my Jewish friends, they're like, man, this ain't making the news. It's like, oh, I understand Black Lives Matter, but like, yo, this shit ain't making the news. Like, we're scared. Like, if you look at all the articles and shit that happened to us, like, we're not getting anything.
They're using the guise of protesting or counter-protesting to forward their own agenda.
Same thing like that motherfucker at the auto zone in Minneapolis, who come to find out was what? A fucking white supremacist trying to start some shit. Now, I got my own thought process right now as far as the rioting and the looting. I've even talked to some of the protesters right now, telling them that, hey, we at this particular point in time, we might need to fucking listen to the curfew. Because these motherfuckers out here right now got a president and got law enforcement on a level in which they feel it's okay and they feel justified to grab their guns and come and shoot our asses. And we don't need no more motherfucking martyrs. We don't need martyrs to get the shit done anymore. Yeah. We don't need people dying to get the shit done anymore. We just got to be smarter about it. And that's why I'm trying to school these youth, trying to school people that are younger than me, that there are certain ways that we can go about this shit. You got energy. We need that energy, but we need it formalized in a way that makes sense. You see it even with the NBA. You got some of these young cats are just angry. They want to do something, but they don't have the guidance or the leadership to do it. This is the first time I've actually seen them reach out. The fact that LeBron reached out to Barack Obama, to reach out to people that know their shit, there needs to be lawyers that they're talking to. There need to be economists that they're talking to.
There was I know at least a couple of the NBA owners are either current or former like senators and governors. Like those are the people that affect change. Yeah.
Right.
Put your foot on their neck and then
burning shit indiscriminately don't do a goddamn thing.
And here's the thing. I was having this conversation with one of my friends this week. If it's funny you should bring up the curfew. If at curfew time or after curfew time when all the looting and burning and shit is happening, if all the video footage is just of white people running around burning shit, you'll see the narrative change very quickly. Mm-hmm. The point is that if they can point a camera at, a mall getting looted and burnt down and there's a blackface in the crowd, it's not a good look.
No, it's already done. That's the thing is that the looters and the rioters right now, the way that I'm a Fox News watcher, the way that they look at it is they're looking at it as two things. Black Lives Matter and Antifa, the boogeyman, Antifa. And Antifa is not looked upon as any but white people. They're looking at white people and they're saying that they're the agitators. They're the ones that are doing this or doing that. So now we need the law and order people, which is why you got the motherfuckers in pickup trucks in Portland with Trump flags, shooting motherfuckers with paintball guns, getting the fucking thumbs up from the cops. That's why you got this asshole that decided to go to grab his gun, 17-year-old kid, to get him his mom, and they go across state lines with their fucking guns. Him. You see the picture of his mom all decked out in her fucking gear, and they go out and look. You going into a neighborhood that ain't fucking yours, protecting your shit when all you want to do is fucking go out there and kill some Negroes. That's what the fuck you want to do.
It's U.S. law that you're never allowed to use deadly force to protect property.
That motherfucker ain't going to jail. He ain't. He ain't. Nope. That first degree charge they hitting him with, he ain't doing it. They're going to, you look at the demographics of that fucking town. You see what that jury's going to fucking be. And you're going to see these assholes saying the self-defense thing. I will never understand is that it is justifiable to use murder to kill someone in a response to property damage. When a fucking wants to do property damage in response illegal. To a murder, we get chastised for it. Yeah. What I'm saying is that overall, there are a lot of places that have these castle doctrines. There are a lot of places that have these stand your ground laws. There are a lot of these places where, look, you can tell me all day long as far as the self-defense thing. I saw in Ferguson, Missouri, where you had a cop with a gun and you had Michael Brown that didn't have a gun, and you had the cop get off. I see George Zimmerman and doing what he did to Trayvon Martin, and he got off, and now signing fucking Skittle packets at Comic-Con to give to motherfuckers, and he's making money off of it. Right now, I don't have any justification or rhyme or reason to think that this system is ever going to work for us in its status quo. And what I don't want to see happen is I need to see people utilizing and figuring out how the system itself works and what it is we need to do to leverage it to make sure that we're getting what we need to get. It starts with voting. And if you don't have a candidate that's doing what it is that you need them to do, run your goddamn selves. Like, this is where we're at. But we need to know who's on board, and we need to do it smartly.
Now going off of that, right? We saw the stuff that happened in the NBA. And when all this was happening, of course, like, if you look at, like, NFL Network and all the other pundits, right? The question was, okay, we saw what the NBA players did. What are the NFL players going to do? Right? And that caused a whole shitstorm on my timeline because a lot of people were like, they're not going to do shit. There's a difference between the leagues. Like, the NBA is way more progressive than NFL, right?
Like miles apart.
Yeah.
And they still fuck it up.
But I'm still thinking, like, I got to give respect to the Ravens for what they posted. Like, laying out everything that they believe should be done. And I was like, that shit's nice.
I mean, it was amazing. It's a start to a plan.
Yeah. But that's the thing. They say what they want. What are we going to do? Mm-hmm. So I want to know: was it Biscotti's in Baltimore? What are they doing? Are they in there? Are they supporting candidates? Are they giving money to candidates that are going to make sure this shit goes down? Or are they telling their players that they have the option? Or the Baltimore Ravens are saying we're not going to compete in the NFL unless we get this shit done? We can scream all day long about what it is we want, but what it is that people are going to do. You saw it when it came to the NBA before the bubble. Nobody on the same page. You had one or two people saying this, one or two people saying this. Nobody taking that leadership role to get everybody on the same page, which is why, like, I have criticism for LeBron in the sense of I can say a lot about LeBron and a lot of good things about LeBron, especially when LeBron is doing stuff solo. But what LeBron struggles with is getting other people on board with what he's doing and to cultivate and getting that environment going. And it's the same thing what you're seeing in the NFL. Right now, I think the biggest face of the NFL is Patrick Mahomes. As far as what it is that he did on that the video the NFL put out, and being a very prominent member, we need certain guys like that to start taking the reins but going deeper. Not only talking about the shit, but what are we going to do? Who is he talking to? Who is he getting on the same page? You had guys like Eric Reed. Colin Kaepernick kind of did what he did and skated off because he got cut. But you had guys like Eric Reed to try to do something. But even with Eric Reed, not a lot of planning, whole lot of barking. You had guys like Malcolm Jenkins who tried to do both, but then for a lot of people didn't do enough, right? So it's like, where is it that we're going to have somebody that actually listens to everybody and tries to formulate a good compromise on what it is that we can actually hold ourselves accountable to doing and doing that? And I'm waiting to see all these athletes do it. There's no reason it should be just basketball. Why doesn't LeBron James pick up the phone and call Patrick Mahomes? And then they can go ahead and call an Aaron Judge. And they can go ahead and call Alexander Ovechkin and get them all on the same page.
Yeah, it's the old mantra. It's not mobilized then organized. It's organized then mobilized.
So
bingo.
Like shifting gears a little bit.
Is it Patton? It might be. I don't know.
Killer Mike has been doing that.
Yeah, Killer Mike is, dude. He's been one of my favorite, not only artists but just people.
You want to know who's my favorite person right now?
Who?
Brian Urlacher.
Oh God, dude. All right. So I was sitting in my office at work, and the senior attorney in my office is a black man, and all I hear is, "Oh, Brian, what are you doing?" And I was like, I thought he was saying my name, and I was like, watching basketball, because I was obviously watching basketball. And we pulled up, like, first of all, it's not even what he said, because he said some terrible things, but the fact that he was liking posts that were like free Kyle Ritten, whatever his name is.
Kyle Rittenhouse.
Can't write his name because I can't spell it. He was like liking those posts. I think somebody from the Pelicans tweeted out he just got hit in the head too many times, or like he's just had too many concussions, which could be true. But Brian,
he said, what? He said Brett Favre played the Monday Night Football game the day his dad died, threw 4 touchdowns in the first half, and was a legend for playing in the face of adversity. That was against us, and we cheered him.
Hell of a game.
Yeah, like, you got to respect it.
500 yards.
Yeah.
Like the first half.
Yeah, it was nuts. NBA players boycott the playoffs because a dude reaching for a knife, wanted on a felony sex assault warrant, was shot by police.
Well, first off, Brian Urlacher does not understand how executing warrants works. That's one. 2, it seems pretty clear from the video that this gentleman was trying to put, if that was a knife in his hand, he was going towards his car with it to put it in his car because he probably wasn't supposed to have one. But what a dumb, like, I just objectively, I can see where he's trying to come from, but it doesn't make sense. It doesn't make any sense at all. Why are you putting yourself in there, Brian? Like, what's the point you're trying to make? And there just isn't one. It's just,
what did he think he was going to get from this?
that he was going to be more woke than everybody else. That's what the issue is. You got a lot of these motherfuckers on Twitter and everything else that all they do is they listen to those two black motherfuckers, the Hodge twins on motherfucking YouTube. What they do is their sports coverage is Outkick, so they're hearing Jason Whitlock's bitch ass. And what's that other motherfucker? Clay Travis or some asshole? That's all they take in. Their idea, their concept that anybody could have any sort of ideal behind loving or caring for someone other than themselves, other than their family, to put a human face or a human element to any other person. They can't do it. They can't do it, and especially when it's black. They just can't fathom the idea of having any sort of love and compassion for anybody that isn't somebody that they personally know or to somebody that looks like them. They think less of those people. And that's what it is they do is I just don't. They sum them up by their fucking criminal records. That's what you do. It's the same reason when you see the fucking photos, I got to look at Kyle Rittenhouse's bitch ass covering up graffiti. When all the people that he murdered, I got to figure out their entire criminal rap sheet. Because that fucking matters.
I like the responses that I got when you would see like the New York Post post some bullshit of him like cleaning the wall, and then someone will quote tweet and be like, "Oh, here's Ted Bundy holding a baby."
Right.
So,
it was Ted Bundy helping wash dishes. Yeah, the one that was going around.
Yeah, and I'm like, fuck you guys.
Hitler pet a dog once. You want a photo? Like, what the fuck? Like, it doesn't matter.
He also painted very pretty pictures.
Apparently Hitler loved animals, but what the fuck? Do you want me talking about that shit instead of the other shit he did? Like, what the fuck? That's what I'm saying. There is no human. It's the same reason that you can have cops look at a Dylan Roof who just shot how many people in a church in Charleston, South Carolina, and say, I feel bad for the kid. Let's get him some Burger King. Compared to them seeing a Michael Brown or a Jacob Clark or I'm sorry? Jacob Blake or an Eric Garner or anybody else. Oh, well, he shouldn't have been resisting. What did he do wrong?
Or Tamir Rice.
Or Trayvon Martin. Well, you know what? He was wearing a hoodie. You know, anything could have happened. I mean, he was Amadou Diallo. I mean, he had a cell phone. It kind of looked like a gun. I mean, I'm just saying. Like, it's all that bullshit. They will never, ever, 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 ever give anybody black the benefit of doubt. We've lost it. You were no longer trying to prove you were guilty. You were always guilty.
You didn't question. Do you think we ever had it?
Until innocent.
Huh?
You think we ever had it?
Ever had what?
The benefit of the doubt.
Fuck no.
Okay.
Well, that's the crux of all of it. The Ku Klux Klan exists out of the fear that former slaves were going to go rape and pillage the South. Couldn't have been further from the truth.
We wanted to get the fuck.
That's what it all was. It was either give us some property so we could just do this shit, even though we know you're going to take all of our fucking profits in the process, or let us fucking move somewhere else. No, we never get the benefit of doubt.
The Underground Railroad did not loop back south. It was just north.
This might be the worst fucking transition ever.
Okay.
Before you transition, one more time, Jason Whitlock, suck my fucking dick. Choke on a bag of uncut, uncircumcised baby dicks. Fuck you.
Oh, I feel like you're going to need a lot of those, but okay.
Offered them the fade before, so, it is what it is.
It ain't the time to talk about it. When? When is ever the time to talk about it, you fat fuck?
Hey, man. He's,
All right. So, yeah, going back to the worst transition ever.
He lives in a cabin. That's all I'm saying. Anyway, continue.
We were talking about, like I said, we all just wanted to get the fuck. So does Messi.
Wait, was that this week too?
Yeah.
Hold on, you pulled that down, right?
Mm-hmm.
Why'd you pull that one down?
This is Barcelona.
You want to pull the Messi jersey behind you down too?
No.
Just saying.
He doesn't blame Messi.
I don't.
Oh, you Sparta?
Yeah.
So the story has all but been confirmed.
Let me go through it.
Okay.
All right. So I've been on this podcast for we've been doing this for about like a year, 2 years now.
Yeah.
A year. It's been a year, about a year and a half. It's a year and a few months.
Yeah. So I've been talking about the board for the longest fucking time, even before we did this podcast, and how they've treated players. including Dani Alves. And now Messi came out this week and said, "Fuck that. I'm tired of playing here." The straw that broke the camel's back was the new guy we hired as the head coach met with Messi and told him, in the Barcelona team, there are no more privileges. Everything you do must be for the team. I'm like, bitch, what the fuck are you talking about? So, yep, like, you alienated Messi. Like, at this point, he's just saying, fuck it. Like, I'm not trying to be here. And I don't blame him. Nobody really blames him. It's the board's fucking fault. They're not, like, and then Bartomeu came out and said, like, hey, Messi, if you say that you're going to come back publicly, I will resign.
Yeah, I'll step down.
You should have done that shit like 2 years ago. Fucker.
I mean, I think they just never thought that he would actually leave.
And why?
And it was like, because
it's just a culture there.
And he's been there for 20 years. He's been there for 20 years. He's on the same, like, lineage as, like, Xavi and Iniesta and Puyol and, like, fucking PK, who's still playing.
Yeah, and he has the perfect – I don't know why they didn't see this or why I didn't see this. He's got the perfect place to go. He can go play for Pep, who they have been great. Yeah.
And,
I mean,
him talking to Neymar, like, telling Neymar, like, hey, come to City.
Please, God, don't.
I want it to happen, but then
I can't have that happen.
Then you got also you got other reports of Juve trying to get Messi so they can team him up with Ronaldo. You got reports of PSG trying to get Messi so that it could be Messi, Neymar, and fucking Mbappe, which will be fucking lethal.
Yeah, I mean he has so many places he could go and be great and win everything. Or he can stay at Barca, where he's not – apparently there's no more, luxury treatment because you're a superstar and you don't like the board. And
why the fuck did we hire this guy?
Probably to get rid of Messi. Seems like it.
And City said the most that they'll go in terms of, like, buying Messi is 150K. I mean, 150 million.
Million?
Yeah. And his buyout clause is 700 million.
How badly do they want him off the books?
Well, then La Liga came out today and said that they agree with Barca that his clause expired in June, even though there was a fucking pandemic. So Messi's lawyers are going to argue that, hey, the season was extended. So should the clause. So, yeah, if Barca takes him to fucking court to try to force him to stay.
Yeah, like
I'm done.
What Messi do you think you're gonna get if you're forcing him to play on your team?
Done. I'm
like
tired of these bitches, man.
It's like Gareth Bale sitting on the bench or playing golf.
Their ego is so fucking stupid. Like, you just got your ass beat 8-2. Have some fucking humility.
Not them. Yeah, it's tough, dude. I'm happy for Messi if he wants to leave at this point.
I am too. It'll be to the point where I don't have a favorite team anymore. Like, I'll just rock with players.
Liverpool.
Yeah, that's tough.
No, I'm just gonna rock with fucking players.
Might be the safest bet.
But the way that they treated all the players, like, except for Xavi and Iniesta that I've seen, it's just been ridiculous.
I mean, in soccer, I root for the cotton gin, but that's just me.
All right, what's next?
I have an honest question that I do not know the answer to. I'll have to look it up. But if you think of all the South American, all of the black players, like, has any of them had a gracious exit?
From where?
From Barca. I'm just now thinking about this shit. I don't know. I have to look.
I don't either. We should put a pin in that and do some research.
If that's the case, I'm just fucking done now.
Huh. I don't know.
because I remember how they treated Danny Alves on
Yeah.
some bullshit, and he was still fucking great.
There might be something you do your research on. I'm curious to hear about that. The race stuff in soccer is something that draws to me more than most things.
Yeah.
Yeah, even and this is not even, against the black players. It's against
South America.
South American, which to someone in Spain is.
How did they treat Thierry when he left?
He's French.
I know, but he's black.
Thierry Henry, right?
Yeah.
I know my shit.
I honestly don't know.
Yeah, I got to think about this shit.
Yeah, interesting. All right, what's next?
If it's nuts, I'm just out.
That's what I said, no?
No. There was a game yesterday. Arsenal versus Liverpool. How did that go for you guys? Because I didn't watch it.
It went very well. I had to watch it on my fucking phone because I didn't have internet
Did
or
you win?
TV. Yeah, we did.
Oh, shit.
We won 2 cups in 2 straight games. Beat Liverpool on penalties. We looked really good. We need to lock up Aubameyang. Yeah, we beat Man City. Our last 3 wins are Man City, Chelsea, and Liverpool. So,
Hey, I mean, outside of that, there was some transfer rumors that were interesting.
okay.
There was talk of a Griezmann-Felix swap, which would
weird.
Weird.
If neither of them are happy, but Felix, I feel like I don't think they're going to let him go. Although if they want to unload that contract, maybe.
There was also a talk of Suarez going back to, Suarez going to Atletico Madrid.
I saw that.
There was also talk of Suarez going to Juve or PSG. And then Thiago Silva is at Chelsea now too.
Yep. Well, Chelsea they lost a bunch of players to transfer, so now that made sense. I think Man City.
They got him on a free, which is crazy.
They did?
Yeah, they got him on a free transfer.
Wow.
Yeah.
I mean, it's going to be a weird transfer window just because the season technically ended a week ago and is starting back up on the 12th.
Yeah.
So there's not a whole lot of time to make these moves. Usually you have the whole summer of transfer rumors, which is actually really annoying because
nice because where there's smoke, there has to be fire this time.
Yeah, no, that's why I think I like this one better because there's, we got a month between the end of the season and the end of the transfer window, or a month and a half.
Yep.
So we're gonna see a lot of movement pretty much right off the bat.
So that is pretty much it. So finally, wants to go first?
I can go first real quick. NBA wrap-up sort of thing. RIP Cliff Robinson. Outside of NBA, from a basketball standpoint, RIP Lute Olsen, University of Arizona coach for quite a minute. Those 2 guys, I think a lot got overshadowed by Chadwick Boseman's death, which understandable, but Cliff Robinson, dude, I remember playing for a very, very long time, and it was always a pleasure watching him play. And hearing what they said on NBA, on TNT, and hearing all the rest in peace and everything from all those guys on the set for all 3 of those gentlemen was damn, it brought tears to my eyes. Just as a recap, as far as NBA playoffs real quick. So in the East, the semi-conference finals are already pretty much lined up. I know Boston, Toronto is playing right now. Milwaukee, Miami, so it'll be one of those 4 representing the East. In the West, we still got a bunch of stuff still wrapping up from the first round. The only team that's advanced so far has been the Lakers. But you got the Clippers against Dallas, even though Kristaps is gone after this whole Luka show has been kind of going nuts. So
time for the first round, but quick thought: the Celtics are up by damn near 20 right now.
Sounds all right.
Oh no, they're up by 22.
Boston's will take out Toronto.
Huh?
I think Boston's going to take out Toronto.
I think so too.
That's kind of crazy. And Dallas might be out after in the next couple hours because our game's at 3:30.
Game's at 3:30. There's no Kristaps, and LA's starting to hit the show.
Beat them without Kristaps before, but
you're not going to win 2 games, and they're no only need to win.
That last game was a fucking murder.
Oh yeah, we lost about 43.
So once again, it looks like Dallas is pretty much over, and then Denver and Utah. Utah's up 3-2.
And Utah just looks a much better team right now.
And Houston's up 3-2 over Oklahoma City. And LA is the only team. It's still what it looks like to me is going to be an LA Bucks finals. But
OKC cannot shoot the ball.
The Bucks might lose to the Heat, though.
The Heat are good.
I'm excited for this series just because of the Jimmy Butler fan that I am and the way that they got their shooters going.
Ooh.
But I don't know. I think right now everybody's kind of – I know from a heartfelt standpoint, I'm riding with Milwaukee.
There is a Giannis stopper though.
Yeah, but Giannis is gonna be playing with.
When Giannis is bad, there is no such thing in the NBA as a Giannis stopper. But
Bam Adebayo.
There is no such thing as a true Giannis stopper.
Watch Bam.
All right, come on, get y'all final thoughts up.
Final thoughts.
Did you already go?
No.
Go ahead.
Mets just hit a home run. Robinson Cano should be in the Hall of Fame. Stop talking about the PD shit.
Fair enough.
I'm excited for Arsenal to be back in 2 weeks. I'm honestly as much as I didn't want sports to come back 100% when they started, I'm seeing that one, I have something to do because I'm still staying my ass inside the house. It's given me something to do, something that makes every day a little less shitty, especially when you have basketball from noon to midnight every day. That's wonderful. I don't know why they don't do that every year. I'm totally in favor of it. But also just the way that they've been able to start pushing the agenda the way I thought they should be able to 3 months ago. This is fantastic. My teams are all playing well, that are still playing, which is nice. But also, yeah, stay your ass in the house still, people, please. Thanks.
Yeah. All right. So my final thought is this past week has been very historic with all the stuff that's happened in the NBA. And when we look back on this decades from now, we better all make sure we put fucking respect on the WNBA. Like, did you see their
other shirts? Yeah.
Yeah, they spelled out Jacob Blake, and then they had 7 bullet holes in the back of their shirts.
The WNBA was going to have it everybody as far as and it's been that for a minute.
Yeah, they've been that way. Yeah, I just wish I liked watching WNBA basketball.
But Kadeem, you remember we did that special episode discussing the evolution of the black athlete activist, right?
Yeah.
And when I was doing research, it was telling that you couldn't find that much shit about like the shit that women did, right? Even though you and I both know 125% that they were there on the forefront, on the front lines too.
It's always hard. They're always, they don't get the same spotlight.
But now,
you have to go out of your way. For the men, you don't have to try to figure out exactly.
Now we have all that shit.
Yeah.
It's up to us, like as people, as shit goes on, we need to tell these stories to make sure that people do know. And we have all the proof we need.
Agreed.
So, I have noticed that it's getting more coverage than it used to, but
it still needs to get better. Because look, imagine all the shit that would have gone down if the NBA players did what the WNBA players did, even though they have more to lose.
And it's surprising well, it's not very surprising. It wasn't on mainstream news. Like if you watch SportsCenter religiously, which we do, we would see it. There's a lot of people that don't. Either they don't care about, they just want to watch their segments, or they want to watch just their football, so they don't really care about the WNBA. But now that it's on, you're getting to see it on CNN, getting to see some of it on the other news channels, probably not Fox. But it's getting more mainstream as to what the WNBA is and has been about. So I think with more eyes on it, they'll start to get more recognition, which should have happened forever ago because they've always been 10 steps ahead of every other league. And unfortunately, they don't get the same coverage.
So women as a whole, they've always been more woke and more understanding than us, and we need to do more as far as taking a backseat and letting them shine.
Yeah. And then like you even look at like the shit that's going on like between the WNBA players and Kelly Loeffler's.
Loeffler, the owner.
Yeah, and how they're not even saying her name.
Mm-hmm.
I get it.
Like,
Story's been going on for a minute. I don't know how she's still an owner.
Yeah, I pray that we make sure that as we look back on this, that they get the respect that they deserve.
No, we need to do a better job of it ourselves. Like, we need to make sure that
WM continue to talk about the shit now and keep talking about the shit as they continue to do it.
Agreed.
Yep, agreed. All right, y'all. Follow us, find us, watch us, like us. Subscribe.
Black Lives Matter. COVID's real.
Yep, 100%.
All right, love you guys. Later.
Peace.